Today I'm sharing a couple of fantastic sheet pan meals. We all know how wonderful it is to put everything on a sheet pan, pop it in the oven, and dinner is done, and then cleanup is even easier. My very first long form video on YouTube was a sheet pan video. My daughter says that it's kind of a jump scare when it first starts. Anyway, but there's some great recipes in that video, but I'm really excited today to share these two because I think that they're delicious and they're fresh and healthy. It's gonna be a good one. Well, I'm so glad you're here. If we haven't met, my name is Ange and this is the Menu Made Kitchen. We are making our chicken caprese sheet pan meal. So we're gonna start off with our chicken. I've got a large sheet pan here and I'm just gonna do 3 chicken breasts for my family. These are pretty large breasts, but you can definitely do 4 chicken breasts or add chicken thighs. So the first thing we need to do is get our chicken cooked up. We're gonna add really simple seasonings. And then while our chicken is cooking, we're gonna make our caprese salsa. It's gonna be a fun recipe. We are also gonna be adding some couscous to our sheet pan once the chicken is cooked, and it's all just gonna happen on this one pan. So I've got a little bit of olive oil. We wanna make sure that our sheet pan also has plenty of oil on it just to make sure that our couscous doesn't stick to it. And then we're gonna season our chicken. So I have a combination of garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. Really simple. I feel like this is one of those recipes you can get creative with the seasonings for sure. So that's it for this step. I have my oven set at 425 and we're gonna bake these about 35 to 40 minutes until they're cooked all the way through. And while that happens, we're gonna make our caprese salsa. So I am getting my tomatoes chopped up. We want about 2 cups of diced tomatoes. I'm not gonna even take the time to remove any of the seeds or the flesh. We're just gonna keep it really simple. So this caprese salsa is gonna go over our cooked chicken and then the couscous. And then we're gonna do some balsamic drizzle. So to our tomatoes, I have a 1/4 cup of sweet white onion. And then we have some mozzarella. So what I did is I bought the little tiny mozzarella balls and then I cut those up into smaller pieces, just so each bite has just a little bit of cheese. And I'm doing roughly about a 1/2 cup. And then we gotta have some basil. I'm also just gonna kind of measure with my heart on this too. And we'll just kind of give it a rough chop. This is kind of one of those salsas that you kind of have to taste and then add to it if you need to. And then we'll do a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Now you can definitely add the balsamic glaze to this mixture, but I'm gonna drizzle it over the top of the chicken once I put the salsa on top. We'll toss this all together and then we'll kind of let it sit and marinate and hang out while the rest of our chicken is cooking, or while our chicken is cooking. And then the only thing that we need to do, I have my couscous all measured out. I have some chicken broth that I'm gonna put in the microwave and heat up till it's really hot, like almost boiling. And we'll just keep it in the microwave because you want to make sure that your chicken broth is nice and hot when you add it to the couscous. This looks yummy. All right, check this out. Chicken is out of the oven and it's cooked through. So we've got some couscous here. I'm doing 1 cup of couscous and all I'm gonna do is just sprinkle it around the pan and around the chicken. Trying not to get it on top of the chicken because the chicken broth isn't gonna go up there. Scooch it out of the way. This is such a fun way to do couscous. And then we are gonna take our very hot chicken broth. I have 1 1/4 cups, and you're just gonna drizzle over the top of the couscous and around the chicken. It's gonna seem like it's not enough or it's not gonna work, but just trust the process. And then I have another sheet pan that's the same size. You can definitely do foil, and I'm gonna put it right over the top to kind of seal it. And we're gonna let it set about 7 minutes or so, and the couscous will absorb all that chicken broth, and then we'll kind of fluff it with a fork and then move on to the next step. This should be ready. Make sure it's not too hot. Nope, we are good. It looks perfect. All of the liquid has been absorbed, and so I'm just gonna take my spatula and just kind of fluff it a little bit. And you'll kind of see it, it'll come off the pan and fluff just like rice. And it's gonna have awesome flavor. And then all that's left to do after we fluff all of this up is we will top our chicken with our caprese salsa. We'll scatter a little bit more basil on top, and then we're gonna drizzle I think I'll just drizzle balsamic vinegar all over everything because I love that stuff so much. And this is like the money right there, where all of that chicken cooked and then you get those little bits. That's what I'm gonna grab. And I'm gonna put a ton of Caprese salsa on my chicken. Doesn't this look so fun? And it's beautiful. Okay, I gotta turn it just a little bit this way so you can kind of see it. Zoom in a little bit because it's just so pretty. And then we've got our balsamic. Oh my gosh. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more basil over the top of the couscous just to make it look nice and pretty and fresh. I should be a food stylist for sure. Okay, this is ready to taste. What a beautiful sheet pan meal. Isn't that gorgeous? I think I have the perfect bite. Little salsa with everything and our couscous. Here we go. You definitely get all the flavors of the caprese. And I love the little bite of onion. It's a sweet onion, so it's not real strong, but it gives it a little bit of crunch. I have to be careful with the balsamic glaze because I can tend to get a little carried away with it. It is fantastic. If you've never had the thick balsamic glaze, it's really sweet and it has just a little bit of tang. It's not quite as sharp as regular balsamic vinegar or any kind of vinegar. It's delicious. But this is so good, very fast, and I love that it's healthy. You have the fresh ingredients and very simple ingredients. There's not a lot that goes into it. It's just great. See, I just have to, like with every bite, a little more drizzle balsamic. It's the best. Okay, I hope that you give this one a try. You are gonna love this one. It's delicious. Well, to start off our teriyaki salmon sheet pan meal, we need to start getting our salmon marinating. And I'm gonna use a bottle of teriyaki marinade from Trader Joe's. This is a really nice brand, but you can use any brand from the grocery store or if you have a homemade one that you like. So I'm gonna do just 2 salmon fillets for this recipe because my family's not real big on salmon. My daughter will eat it sometimes, so I'm just gonna make a small batch. So if you happen to miss my cooking for 2 video last week, those were all recipes just designed for 2 people. So this one is 2, really, or you can double it for a bigger family. And then I'm gonna add about 1/4 cup of this teriyaki sauce. I'm gonna eyeball it because it's okay if there's a little bit more sauce than there needs to be. And then we are gonna place this in the refrigerator and let it marinate about 20 minutes. You can go 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but I think that that'll be plenty. And during that time, we're gonna get our broccoli prepared and get our oven heated and just keep it moving on with these very simple steps. That's what I love about this recipe. So next up, we have our broccoli. So I bought a 12-ounce bag at Trader Joe's. It was already prepared for me. We're just keeping this so simple that I don't barely have to do anything, and I love that. So we're gonna add this to our large bowl. Okay, in go the broccoli. And I think what I'm gonna do, this piece is just a little bit too big, so I'm gonna cut that in half. So some of these pieces you'll need to cut down a little bit, just so they all cook evenly. I'm doing 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of teriyaki sauce to our broccoli as well, about 1 tablespoon. Just to kind of drive home that teriyaki flavor. Okay, and I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of salt, not too much, and a little pepper. And then we'll toss all of this together. I haven't decided yet if I want to make some steamed rice to cook with this because I'm kind of looking forward to a light meal tonight. And I feel like the salmon is already really rich and filling, and broccoli is also filling. It's got tons of fiber, so it's kind of one of those vegetables that fills you up pretty quickly. So I don't know, we'll see. And then we are gonna get our oven heated to 375, and then all we have to do is wait for our salmon to finish marinating. Salmon is finished marinating. So I added about 1 tablespoon of olive oil to my sheet pan. I'm just gonna take a paper towel and kind of smear it out or smear it around a little bit. That way our broccoli doesn't stick. So we are gonna lay down our salmon first, and you're gonna wanna put it skin side down. Beautiful. We're gonna wanna save this a little bit because I'm gonna pour a little bit more marinade over the top of the salmon. So then we'll add all of our broccoli pieces. I just think that this is such a beautiful dish too, and healthy and yummy, if you like salmon. That is a lot of broccoli. Let's pull that guy over there. I'm just gonna take some of my marinade and pour it over the top of the salmon. Just add a little bit more, and that will just make it kind of caramelize on top. This goes in the oven, like I said, at 375. We're gonna bake it about 15 to 20 minutes. You want the salmon to flake really easily with the fork, and then obviously we want our broccoli to be tender. I might pop it under the broiler just to caramelize the top of the salmon a little bit more. We'll kind of see what it looks like, but then we'll garnish it with some sesame seeds and green onions. It's gonna be so yummy. All right, check this out. So I decided to do a sweet potato, actually. I had one in my pantry that needed to get used up, and there's my salmon and broccoli. And so what I did was I put the sweet potato in the microwave, and I cut it in half because I'm just making this smaller portion. And I put the other half in my container for work tomorrow. So I've got some salmon and broccoli and sweet potato. It'd be the perfect lunch. I still have a half of a salmon left, and I'm sure it'll get eaten sometime, somewhere. But we are gonna try this. Let me grab my fork. All right, so the salmon, you guys, it is so flaky and, well, I don't know if it's buttery because I haven't tried it yet, but it looks buttery, but it's definitely flaky. I don't know if it'll zoom. Here we go. All right, look at this. Look at that. It just flakes right on off and onto the floor, per usual. But it looks very buttery, and I think it's gonna be fantastic. The flavor. What is so delicious about this is you do taste the teriyaki sauce, but it doesn't overpower the salmon flavor. You still taste that fresh, buttery salmon flavor with the sweet and savory and saltiness of the teriyaki sauce. It is just fabulous. I gotta have another bite because I just can't help myself. Also, when the salmon comes out of the oven, the skin just peels right off. I don't like to keep the skin on, so if you like to eat the skin or you enjoy that, feel free, but it just slides right off like butter. Let's try our broccoli. The broccoli is still a little bit crisp, but it got kind of caramelized. And I did put this underneath the broiler for like a minute, not even a minute, just a little bit. And some of the edges of the broccoli got a little bit toasty. I think it'll be good. Definitely taste the teriyaki. We get that little bit of hint of sesame oil, which is so yummy with this. My sweet potato. I am so set. The perfect balanced meal. Healthy, delicious, and super easy to make on one sheet pan. So this mini meatloaf sheet pan meal is going to be a little more comforting than our other two, but still healthy. Beef has a lot of protein, plus we're using lean ground beef, and I am going to be adding in a little bit of veggie. We're going to do some shredded carrot and onion, but I'm going to start by getting my potato wedges cut up. So I did 4 kind of small, medium-ish russet potatoes. You can use any kind of potatoes you want. Even sweet potatoes would be great. And then I'm making pretty big wedges because everything's going to need to bake in the oven for a bit of time, and we want to make sure that it all cooks evenly. So we'll add our wedges to our bowl here. Pull that there. We're going to add in a couple tablespoons of olive oil. And then for our seasonings, we have a half a teaspoon each of garlic powder and parsley. I have 3/4 teaspoon of rosemary, and then we have some salt and pepper, about a half a teaspoon-ish of each. Well, I thought I hit record, but I didn't. So I went ahead and mixed up my wedges with all that seasoning. And what I was telling you was that I'm probably going to keep this really simple and do either a can of green beans or steam some broccoli because I have some broccoli left over. Honestly, you could probably just have the potato wedges with the meatloaf and it'll be super filling and delicious. So I'm gonna pull this aside and then we're gonna start getting our meatloaf together. What I like to do first is I'm gonna add all of my meatloaf filling into my bowl first, mix that up, and then I add my beef. I just feel like it incorporates a whole lot better that way. First things first, we're gonna add in an egg. We have a 1/4 cup of onion. We're doing a 1/2 cup of shredded carrot. And this is nice because it just kind of blends in there. You don't even know it's in there, but you get a little touch of veggie in your meatloaf. 1/4 cup of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of A1, a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. I have a 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs. And then for our seasonings, we're gonna do some garlic powder, oregano, parsley, salt, and pepper. All right, and then we'll mix all of this together. Typically, we would serve this with some mashed potatoes, but this is gonna be so much easier and just something different. We're gonna throw in our pound of lean ground beef. So my hands are clean. I think it's much easier to mix this together with my hands. We're just gonna go in and incorporate everything. I actually have a meatloaf recipe on my website. It's a ground turkey meatloaf, and it is loaded with all kinds of veggies. It is delicious, and it has kind of this sweet glaze that you put over the top of it. It's really yummy. That looks good. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna divide this out into 4 portions. So we're gonna have 4 mini meatloaves, and then I'll pull my sheet pan over here. You like my little cutting finger here? You wanna make sure it's somewhat even so everything cooks about the same time. But I think that looks good. And then what we have going on for our sheet pan, so I put some foil down on a large sheet pan, and then I put one of these baking racks on top and I sprayed it really well with nonstick spray. That way, our potatoes don't sit in any extra grease from the meatloaf. Plus, I feel like the potatoes, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm supposed to be forming these into little mini meatloaves. The potatoes, when they're on a rack like this, the air circulates better through it and just creates a little better texture, but they're still gonna get golden brown and be beautiful. So that's kind of what you're going for. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just like a little mini meatloaf. How adorable is that? So I'm gonna finish getting the rest of these shaped into our meatloaves, and then I'm gonna add my potato wedges on this side. I have my oven set at 400 degrees, and we're gonna pop this in the oven, and we're gonna bake it about 40 to 45 minutes or so, really until the meatloaf is cooked all the way through, and then the potato wedges are obviously nice and tender and crisp. I like to add a little bit of ketchup to the top of my meatloaf, so I am going to do that right before I pull it out of the oven. I just drizzle a little bit over the top and then let it kind of bake for a few more minutes, but that's optional. So easy. What a great weeknight supper. Still comforting, but fast to make. Okay, I wanted to cut this open so you could see the inside. So it's cooked perfectly. Those are just the little shredded carrots that I told you would just disappear and you wouldn't see them, but you do see them, in fact. Anyway, it smells so good in my kitchen. I love meatloaf. It's just a cozy and comforting meal, but this is perfect. These little mini meatloafs, how fun. Now, when I was growing up, my meatloaf was we always put cheese over the top. My mom would put a slice of cheese and then she'd add green pepper and then do the ketchup, but we're just gonna do the ketchup. It just melts in your mouth. It's so tender. I would like to know in the comments, are you team meatloaf? Because I know not everybody enjoys meatloaf. It just feels a little bit, I don't know, meatloafy. But I love it. And what I really enjoy is making a meatloaf sandwich. And I am excited to make myself a meatloaf sandwich for work tomorrow. This is gonna be so good. Okay, we gotta try one of our potato wedges. That looks delicious. Perfection. The seasoning on those is perfect. It's a little bit spicy though. I think I added too much pepper, but so good. And what a great combination. Like I said, I am gonna steam some broccoli. I just wanted to try this with you before I do that and move on with the rest of my evening and have dinner with my husband. This is delicious. I hope that if you enjoy meatloaf, you will love this sheet pan meal.
So good and super easy to make.
I am reluctantly putting up this sheet pan video, but I still think that there are great recipes. And you know what? It's kind of fun to go back and look at yourself, even just 2 years ago, like how much we change and evolve and grow as people. Plus, I don't have my braces on, so that's a bonus. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. We will definitely see you next time.